Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is the knitting attorney. Wow, I'm bad at this. Knitting Attorney podcast, episode 13. I'm bad at counting. So I'm Joni. This is where I talk about my knitting and maybe some other crafting, crocheting, stuff like that. Yeah, so grab a drink or some yarn and let's just talk about where I'm at with my knitting today. So I've been trying this last week to be a bit more organized with my whips. If you saw my 2022 projects video that I posted on New Year's Day, I have a lot. I think it was like 17 or 18 whips going. And I realized that if I just keep bouncing around between them, I'm going to really not finish many. And that's not so satisfying to watch, is it? So I decided to kind of keep going with sort of the three I was working on last week and just try to have a core group of projects I'm working on at once, maybe like 3 of them. And then as I finish them, kind of move other things in. So most of the projects I'm going to talk about today are ones that I also talked about last week, if that makes any sense. So number 1 is my Moonlight Shawl. And this is a pattern by Darling J'adore. And I actually only have like 4 or 5 rows left on this in total, but I kind of wanted to talk about it once I had started this lace border. So this is it's like a half circle shawl with mostly stockinette, these pretty lines down it, and at the bottom a lace pattern border. And I wanted to kind of talk about that while I was still in progress. So this is sort of where it's at right now. If you can see it, it's mostly just kind of some yarn overs in there. It's fairly simple. It's a simple repeat across just the entire width of it, and eventually there's going to be some noops in. And so I'm most of the way through it, but I'm going to be honest, I think this pattern, I don't know if I got my stitch count off or if this pattern just wasn't really like tech edited or tested, because I'm finding that the pattern is off. I'm getting to the end of a row of the lace and not having the right number of stitches left, and I'd counted my stitches right before the last set of increases and I was right on the money, so I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to count them again and see, but it's been a little bit odd and frustrating. I've just kind of like adjusted as I've gone, because as long as I kind of maintain this pattern of like these holes and these holes, I think it works out fine. And if what's happening right on the very edge of it is a little bit off, I don't know if that's going to be remotely noticeable in the finished object. But I'm realizing I need to kind of troubleshoot also when I get to the rows with the noops, because I want those to be at least evenly spaced, even if it's not perfectly in line with what the pattern calls for. But as you can see, this thing has gotten quite large, and just so I can mention it, this is Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek DK. The color is Cedar, and this is the exact yarn and colorway used in the sample for the pattern. I just thought it was really pretty, so I wanted to make the exact same one. So yeah, I have like 4 or 5 rows left on this, and it shouldn't take that long because it's like 270 something stitches. I'm not sure, I have to count them, but yeah, so I guess that's kind of like one of the problems with going for designers who aren't, don't have a lot of projects on Ravelry. They aren't as well known or popular, I guess, is that you don't quite know what you're gonna get. And I have knit other things from the same designer and they've been perfectly clear and good, but this pattern is just, it's very short. The instructions are like a page and a half of instructions for the whole thing. And there's just little things that are missing. Like you go from knitting the stockinette portion and then it says the next row is a lace row, except you just ended on a right side row. And so if you do it the way the pattern says, you'd be knitting the lace on the wrong side of the garment, which doesn't make sense, does it? At least that's certainly not what it looks like in the photos. So yeah, there's just little things in it that are off, and I've had to kind of like figure out as I go. And if you notice anything about my knitting in these videos, if you watched a few of them, I'm not really like big into making things up for myself. I like just having all the math worked out for me, all the problem solving done before I even pick up my yarn and needles, because you know, this is what I do to relax. So I mean, props to everyone who's like super creative and inventive with their knitting, but this is how I turn my brain off. So having to turn my brain on for this one, a little disappointing, but I'm gonna work it out. I'm just gonna do whatever needs to be done, and hopefully I'll have this finished for next week. So let's move on to something a little bit more positive. So my next project is an exciting one. This is my town sweater by Ozetta, and where I left off last week, I had finished the back of it. I had done its bottom up. I had finished the whole like torso, and then split and did the back, and I just barely started the front. And this is what I have now. It is essentially a finished vest. It still needs sleeves, but I finished the front and I did this lovely folded over collar. Do I really want to show that? It's not the neatest, but it has sufficient stretch to get over my head comfortably, and that's really all that matters, right? So this yarn is from Cece's Wool. It's their Peruvian Alpaca Tweed, which, as I keep saying, I don't think you can just like order online, unfortunately. Hopefully this becomes a regular thing and you can someday, because it's gorgeous. It's this beautiful like marled black and white and gray alpaca, and I just love it. I had 2 skeins of it, and this is what's left of the first one after doing all of this. And I thought I would just show the second one because I just wound it into a ball, and it is quite amusing. This is 600 yards hand wound into a ball. It's like the size of my head. Yeah, there's nothing really educational or interesting there. I just thought it was kind of amusing. But anyway, so yeah, this is how the sweater is looking, and I might just quickly throw it on, take off this cardigan, hopefully not get my rings caught on it, because I think this thing is going to be really cute and flattering. So it's got this like lovely kind of high neck. I know in blocking the instructions have you kind of like pull this out a bit so it's not quite so tight. It's more of a relaxed fit. And the shoulders are looking kind of small, but I think once you pick up these stitches and get rid of that curl, it'll be quite a drop shoulder silhouette. And if I can get up here so you can see, it's currently sitting at a slightly cropped length. Not too much, just kind of right a couple inches below the waistband of my jeans. So I guess not really cropped, but not long either. So yeah, it's looking quite cute, is what I'm saying. And I knit the size small, I think. Yeah, the size small. So normally my measurements line up more with an extra small, so I think my gauge was definitely a little tighter, which makes sense because this yarn, while it's kind of listed as worsted weight, is, I think in my opinion, a little bit thinner. There's definitely areas where it's almost like a fingering weight, but also alpaca I think can grow quite a bit in blocking, so I imagine this will be more of an oversized fit when it is actually done and ready to be worn. But I am very proud of myself though, because as I went along I actually wove in all the ends. So for the remainder of it, of the sleeves, I'm going to have a grand total hopefully of 4 ends to weave in for the rest of the sweater, and that's exciting because I hate weaving in ends. The way the neckline was knit was a little bit weird because it had you picking up stitches but then kind of just transferring and then needing to get another piece of yarn to pick up more stitches, and it was slightly annoying because it ended up with more ends to weave in. I think I really like Ozetta Knitwear as a designer, but I think she often doesn't shy away from having you break the yarn and create more of a headache for yourself when it comes to weaving in time. But I do love her designs, and they are very well written. But if that could be my like one complaint, is that I feel like I am constantly just getting myself tangled up in all the ends that her construction methods create. But yes, it's beautiful. I really like this sweater. Super happy with it. So my next one is also a design by Ozetta, and it's my harvest tee. And this one, where I left off, I was just working on the back of the thing, and oh lord, it's tangled. This is what I was talking about with having a lot of ends. They get kind of tangled on each other. So this is just a simple t-shirt design, and I finished the back. So I've got the shoulder, neckline, and other shoulder stitches here, all on just a smaller needle just to hold on to them. And I've moved on to knitting the front of this piece, which currently I'm about 3 rows in, so it doesn't really look like anything. But yes, this is knit out of Eero Yarns Belviso in the shade Miranda. It's really pretty plant fiber type yarn. It's cotton and linen and nettle, and it is very beautiful. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say about this except that I'm just very proud that I got this far in it, and I am looking forward to continuing on. So those are the 3 projects I'd already talked about, and those are the 3 projects I want to like focus on this coming week as my core knitting. So goals. I'm hoping on my Moonlight Shawl to finish it. That's, you know, kind of goes without saying. It's like a few rows left, so I should be able to. My town sweater, I'm very busy at work this week, so I'm going to say get like half a sleeve done. And my harvest tee, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna get that far into it. It took me forever to knit the back, so whatever I can get done, I'll get done. So I got to all these kind of nice progressy spots with all of those, with a couple days to spare in the week. So I pulled out yet another whip, and this is my balloon cardigan by Petite Knit. This is my second version. I'm wearing my first one, and this is knit out of hedgehog fiber, skinny singles, and Ginger's hand-dyed leading lady lace. And I got both of these while I was in the UK, in Scotland. And yes, it is getting there. I don't know if you can really see because it's kind of crammed on the needles, but I am about 7 rows from sleeve and body separation. So if I make good progress that will look nice on camera to show on the other 3, I'm hoping I can get to sleeve and body separation for this one as well, which maybe, because I think today I'm feeling like working on this. So yeah, that's all the knitting. It wasn't a whole lot today, but hopefully I'll have an FO for you guys next week. But I wanted to sort of talk about another crafting thing I've been doing. So I went to Joann's the other day and I did pick up some yarn, which I will show in a second. But I also got this just plain black crew neck and I've begun embroidering it. So a while ago I ordered an embroidery kit from Wool and the Gang, which essentially just comes with, you know, the needles and thread and the stickers of magic paper, like water-soluble paper with designs on it. And so I thought they were cute. I got some like flower themed ones and I finally decided to use it on this sweatshirt. And so I am an absolute beginner at embroidery, but I started with this really cute design of leaves, and if it looks a little bit like stiff, that's because while I dissolved the water, the paper in the sink, I haven't quite gotten all the residue out, so this is going to get a proper wash at some point. But I did this with a back stitch and a lazy daisy stitch, and I think it came out okay. Then I did this cute yellow flower, also with a lazy daisy stitch. Can my camera get a good picture of that? Maybe. Maybe it's better if it doesn't, because that is quite messy. And then currently I'm working on this cute little design with a little branch of, I guess they're like flower buds, and I managed to successfully, semi-successfully do French knots, and the rest of it I'm just kind of winging it. But yes, that is my progress, and my goal is to get this whole thing just kind of like covered in embroidery. I only have 24 designs from the Wool and the Gang kit, but I think once I've gotten through those and maybe feel a little bit more confident in my skills, I might get some of this paper just blank and draw some of my own flowers and things, and maybe it could be a good artistic outlet. So yeah, stay tuned. I might share little embroidery things. So yeah, last thing, I did get some yarn. Let me grab it, it's down here. So I know I said I wanted to be more mindful about my yarn purchases, but in my Everything I Knit in 2021 video, a lovely commenter mentioned, because I said I was looking for a 100% nylon yarn because I thought the Lion brand Hand-Dyed Heaven was such a cool texture, and I really wanted to like work with something like that, but it had been discontinued. And so a lovely commenter mentioned that they actually do have a new yarn, which is called Feels Like Heaven, and it is 100% nylon, but in solid colors. And so I picked up 4 skeins of it. And this is, I think, exactly the same base as the Hand-Dyed Heaven was. It's just solid. So I got 4 skeins of the white, and I'm thinking about making Jessie Maid's, what is it, Cozy Classic Raglan? I kind of want to make this into just like a very basic, like sweatshirty kind of deal, which I think would be nice and casual. So yeah, I will potentially start that at some point, but this was a mindful yarn purchase in the sense that this was a fiber that I really wanted to work with more because it interests me a lot. So yes, that is, I guess, everything I have to talk about today. Please, if you enjoy my video, subscribe. I'm really happy to see I got a whole bunch of new subscribers, so thank you guys, and hope you stick around and continue to enjoy my content. Ugh, sounds so gross. Okay, but yes, please like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, share. I don't know, what's a fiber that you really want to work with in your knitting or crocheting or whatever. Let me know, because I kind of love hearing about that stuff, and I love trying new types of yarn. So tell me, and yes, I will stop being a disgusting YouTubey person. Okay, bye bye.